Creston Butte or Breckenridge or Keystone or whatever, we would go and we were staying there. You were there for a week or whatever it was, and you were kind of right in the middle of town, and you were there to ski and go. When I was in Europe, I lived there, so it might have been you would drive. So I guess it would be kind of similar in the sense that if you lived in Denver, where do you drive for a day? What do you do when what is your ski habits? If you say, hey, I got 4 hours, I'll run up, I can run, the weather's great, or there's a fresh, sometimes you're a little late for work or you call in sick. It's probably a little more of that. We would go sometimes if there was snow on the hill, we would leave the restaurant, and usually we worked from about 9 in the morning until about 2 in the afternoon. And then we'd come back and do dinner service from 5 in the afternoon, from 5 at night until about midnight. So you worked a full day, you worked lunch and dinner. And so we'd have a little, kind of a little break between 2 and 5. And we were 20 to 25 minutes from the lift. We'd grab our stuff, haul ass to the lift, ski as much as we get as many runs as we could in, and then get back to the office. So, it was different. It was different being in Europe skiing. You got to run and go do it, and then come back to the office, and it was opposed to being on a winter vacation growing up, where you were there for 4 days and you could ski as much as you wanted. So it was just a different way of going about it.
I mean, I love how you were like, either call in sick or the between shifts or between waves. That's a pro move right there, and so I like it. You mentioned earlier the après scene. I am as coordinated as a cat with no whiskers, so I like to pride myself on the après scene.
So, listen, I love, like I said, there's nothing those beers are real cold, and you've earned them, and so I love earning my 4:00 beer when the lift closes. Usually, I can tell you that, or sometimes my noon beer, depending on how the night went the night before. So, like I said,
that's great. I mean, I couldn't agree more. The noon beer is definitely the play. And while we're interviewing here in this morning, I may or may not have a glass of red wine sitting next to the computer. So, it's different. It's lunchtime where you are. So,
yeah. I'm checking in the kitchen, making sure everybody's good. They're good. It's Friday afternoon. The weather's really nice here. I'll tell you what, 48 or 50 and sunny feels like kind of one of those perfect Colorado afternoons, low humidity, and so as lunch will kick off, and it'll just kind of carry on into to a nice busy Friday night, and so a lot of people moving and shaking this afternoon. We'll see, should see some good action, and but also in the parks as well. And so I think Houston, like Denver, I think a lot of people really like to get outside and be active and do some of those things. So.
Yeah, and this is one thing, like, as you mentioned, it's one of those gorgeous Denver afternoons down in Houston. We're looking at about 17 inches in the mountains overnight.
Wow.
And then Denver got about 6 to 8. So as you said, that it's kind of like primo Denver winter weather. And,
so there's a mass exodus is what you're saying. Not a whole lot of work will be done in Denver this afternoon. And the ski lifts tomorrow, the line will be forever.
Pretty much, yeah. If you could have gotten up last night, because the weekend it's just a nightmare over the weekends. During the weekdays, if you can get up there, you have nobody in front of you on the lift lines. But in the mountains, it's. I mean, the traffic nowadays from Denver to the mountain, like you'd mentioned earlier. Like what would you do with a day trip? Denver's become so populated that the mountains, the 70 corridor is just slam packed all the goddamn time. So like day trips are almost non-existent nowadays just because it's just a nightmare. Like you have to really, I mean, you'd have to like make your bones. Like you're like, I'm dedicated to getting 30 days this winter or whatever it may be. It is what it is. But like winters in Houston are a lot cooler. Like, my buddy that lives down there, I've mentioned him now once or twice, shout out Hannah and Clay, but he moved from Chicago and he had said that, Chicago's winters are unbearable. And I remember living down there, the summers in the South are unbearable, but this is like primo season for y'all. So do y'all see like spikes during the January, February time, or does dry January in the winter affect y'all like it does us? Like our restaurant scene is not as popping in the winter. Is it vice versa down there?
No, I think, honestly, we that first week of January is a little quiet, right? Everybody back in the saddle and everybody back into the swing of things, routine. But no, it stays good. There's always something. Again, it's a large enough city. There's always someone willing to have a drink, I can tell you. So as many people are having dry January, as many people are carrying on as business as usual. So so January is good. It's again, it stays nice and steady here, and just a large amount of people to be able to support not only our business but all the businesses in town.
I mean, I feel you, and so I guess we joke. I joke about dry January, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, because of the Mardi Gras party. Are you a gentleman that likes to partake in the Lent, where we give something up every year?
Yeah, I think it's, for me, it's a good way to just kind of reset and sort of get just make yourself really just start of the year and just kind of be able to continue that self journey of just doing something that you said you were going to do. Not necessarily, for me, it's not necessarily giving something up, but for me, it's about making sure that I try to do the things that I said I was going to do, right, and just hold myself accountable throughout that period and really throughout the year, right. And so it's just as I've grown older, that's kind of the way I transitioned it for myself.
Hey, I know the feeling. You gotta, you can't be all gas, no brakes. The older you get, the hangovers are real.
Listen, it's work, right? No matter what, to work on the things that you want to be good at. I think we'd be if we didn't say that. That's what it takes, right? A lot of focus and a lot of work to be the best version of yourself, no matter what you're doing every day. It's a constant. Sometimes it's a constant. It's a battle with yourself to be the best version of yourself, right? And I think, and kind of we talk about with our team, that if we can be the best version of ourselves every day, we'll be great, right? But really, the problem often is between ourselves, not ourselves and someone else, right? And so, I think that's something that I try to do, a little self-reflection every day, and be the best version of myself, not only for myself but for my family and for the team that that I've been very fortunate to surround myself with.
Man, I like where your head's at. And I feel like you remind me a lot of, we have a gentleman out here, and his name's Bobby Stuckey, and he is very much live and let live, like whatever makes you happy, like you kind of mentioned, just being invited to the party. I don't give a fuck what you're serving kind of feel. That's very much like his vibe as well. And it's, it's very refreshing to see that. And I think that, that may even play into the successes in the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry, of how to treat others is like, how you would want to be treated, and just with, ultimate kindness and things of that nature. Tell us a little bit about, what's the day-to-day in the restaurant scene for you? Like, how do we start our day, like, with the team and things of that nature?
We run carpools. So you know what? You get a little dose of reality at about 6:30 in the morning. You got a 4-year-old little boy, and he's not impressed by anything we do here. I'll be honest with you. He said, "Daddy, the French fries aren't as good as his other favorite places." And he said, "You don't have tortillas like our favorite Tex-Mex restaurant." So ultimately, you get up at 6:30 to someone who doesn't want jelly on his biscuit, or he wants jelly on his biscuit, right? So you just never know what you're waking up to. But anyway, so no, it starts early, and that's kind of one way that I think my life in the restaurant business has changed, right? It used to be really late nights and wake up later in the afternoon, and now it's about getting up and getting your day going, right? A little kind of start your day and a little self-reflection and get your day going. Try to do carpool a couple days a week, and then clearly checking emails and getting on the phone and seeing who's got your updated fish list, who's got what to sell, and kind of how we're looking. And really on our phone, somebody from our team opens the restaurant between 6 and 7 a.m. every day, and get ready for lunch. And it takes a team, and it takes a lot of people to make these things go and start getting prepared for the day, and then work lunch service, right? Take a little kind of around 2, 3 in the afternoon, again, regroup and kind of check out what's going on, and usually try to sit with our team and catch up for 10, 15 minutes every day and see what we got, not only for the night coming up, but kind of try to get it ahead of the next day as well. So, it's just constant motion. And then, like I said, try to sneak away maybe and either pick up my little boy or see him for a moment. Maybe when the weather's nice like today, we'll sneak over to the park just down the street. We're very lucky where we are. We kind of live not far from the restaurant, and there's great parks. Like I said, great parks in Houston, but There's a great park just down the street. And so let them run, get a little of that energy out, and then see what, make sure that, my wife, I tell you, at home, my wife is the cook in our family. I try to cook usually on Sundays. I try to rattle a few pots and make a big mess. But other than that, during the weekdays, she's she's figured out the slow cooker and makes some of the best damn red beans you'll ever have, right? And she's figured out that recipe. I don't even know how to turn it on, and she's got that nailed. So usually put a little beans on
for the South.
That's it. Listen, and it's something that, and we do a lot of that sort of cooking at home, right? It's not restaurant cooking. It's about what can I put low and slow in the oven? What can we put that'll feed? And what is everybody going to eat? Something that's something that she can take to work and that we eat throughout the week, And I usually try to eat dinner if I'm not home for dinner time necessarily with them. I usually try to eat. I grab something to eat. You're talking about your late night snacks, and so I always leave a little something in the fridge. Try to get a bite to eat before I go to bed. So pretty much that.
That's a question we ask every single guest we have. It's the Stoned Appetit. Like we say, and because most of our guests are industry, folks such as ourselves and such as yourself. But it's mainly about, you work those late hours and you're on your feet and you're kind of exhausted. You want something like not necessarily easy, but at the same time, like you're a creative genius, like your food is your art. So we always like to ask, what is the go-to late night snack? Is it the leftover RBR, or do you have something that you keep in the fridge or pantry for every night, rundowns? What's your go-to snack?
You listen, I've learned to eat a lot of whatever's there. I can make something with it, right? There's always a lot. I can tell you that there's a couple of staples in our house, but we've always got good olive oil. We've always got good sea salt, Maldon salt. Always keep a bunch of avocados and some citrus, limes, lemons, and oranges. And my little boy loves hummus and avocados and tortillas and little pita chips. So we've always got those kind of hanging around. And usually a couple nights a week, it's some version of those 3 or 4 things: a little smashed avocado, maybe a little hummus, and some chips, or there's usually red beans or some kind of sort of bean in the cooler, and so warm some of those up too. So
you sound a lot healthier than the most of the folks that I've interviewed or met and hung out with in the South. I feel like butter and frying everything is a staple where we come from. So when I can understand with a kid, the mush food. And then obviously being in Texas, I'm glad to see that he's starting to support the Houston roots over the Louisiana. That's proud. You have your proud papa. But I thought you were going to say something brutally unhealthy.
No, listen. You know what? Again, if I make a mess and my wife wakes up in the morning, she's not very impressed by all that nonsense at this point. I can tell you, and it makes me just feel like shit in the morning. So I'm probably, believe me, no one would tell you that knows me I'm the healthiest person you've ever met, but I try as best I can to keep that shit out of my house, because I'll eat it all. I can tell you, I'm a sucker for Oreos and anything else that I can get my hands on. So we try to keep that stuff away.
I'm the same way with Snickers, so I feel you completely. I'll eat them until they're out. So like Christmas and Halloween time, when they're all in like the shared bags, is usually when I just plow through them. I'm like, all right, I can't buy any.
Exactly right. I'm the same way. So the only way I know how not to eat it is to keep it out, or try to keep it out.
I love it. Well, Chef, we appreciate you joining us this week. We're excited for you to join us on February 25th for the Mardi Gras dinner. You're going to bring some of that Louisiana love, and we can't wait to have you. Before I leave, I would love to ask you, besides coming to see me in person, what are you looking forward to most about getting back out to the mountains?
Oh, did you hear that? Somebody did something great. My app just went off. I don't know if you could hear it dinging on through the call. I'm just excited to spend time with one of the chefs that is going to join me up there from our team, but also spend some time with Chef Troy's team, and I've met a lot of his team, and they're phenomenal. Also, what are some? I'm going to leave it to you to send me an email about some must do restaurants. I will tell you that one of the first things that I got to do, we booked an early flight, and I told